Vanquish Soul is a very complex deck. The #1 most important aspect of Vanquish Soul is understanding that any fire, any dark, and any level 5 is a combo piece. A fire monster will enable your Jiaolong and Hollie Sue. A dark monster will help enable your Hollie Sue. And a level 5 will help enable your Jokel and or your Ripper to search for a Jokel. Now to help access your fire, dark, or level 5 and to combo with them, we have the help of Mad Love through Search in the Field spell, which could search for any monster. We have Razen, which could search for any monster. And we have Rock of the Vanquisher, which could turn any monster on the field or in the graveyard to be added to your hand. For example, if we have a fire monster and a Mad Love, what we want to do with that, since we already have Mad Love being a dark and a fire, we want to work our way towards getting a Hollie Sue. Thus, the Mad Love's goal will be to search for Hollie Sue to use with a dark and a fire. If we have Razen plus a fire, then we do not search for Hollie Sue because we have 2 fires. Thus, we instead search for a Jiaolong. Jiaolong is going to be making use of the double fire. If we have a dark plus a Razen, we do not search for Jiaolong because we have a dark and fire. And since Jiaolong only works with a fire and a fire, we will instead search for a Hollie Sue to make use of the fire and the dark. And if we have a level 5 in the hand, then we do want to highly prioritize making a Ripper. Any 2 level 5 monsters on the field will then be able to search for a Jokel, and Jokel could then use the level 5 in the hand to further extend to make bigger plays. Understanding this one key aspect of Vanquish Soul will help you win duels. Another very important aspect of Vanquish Soul is playing around Nibiru. After 5 summons, they could use Nibiru to non-target tribute off your entire field. What you need to know is that almost every combo could choose to counter Nibiru, but sometimes countering Nibiru will come at the cost of 1 less disruption or 1 less draw. In this combo guide, I will be prioritizing countering Nibiru instead of getting blown out by a Nibiru. Let's start this off with the most iconic aspect of this deck, which is playing on your opponent's turn 0. We have a ton of disruptions. Let's see how that plays out. They're going to start off with a Cup C, searching their deck, and we know that Yummy is reliant on making their Link 1. So if you always get rid of their monster on the field, they're going to have a hard time. So we're going to start off with revealing a Vanquish Soul to summon Hollie Sue. We will then activate Hollie Sue, revealing a Dark and Fire to then summon a Razen into the same column as their opposing monster. It will first search on summon, and then on a separate chain link, we could activate to non-target destroy the entire column. White Boy the field. Now they're going to follow up. Yummy Surprise. That's okay, we have more plays. We're going to use Caesar Values to return back our Earth monster, and then we're going to be revealing Dark, Fire, Earth with the Caesar Values to non-target destroy any other card in the field. So far, double disruption. They are now activating a Marshmallow Yummy to summon from the hand, adding back a card in grave. This is when the Izuna will be activatable. Anytime the opponent activates a monster effect from the hand or in the graveyard, it doesn't have to be directly chained to it. Just now within this turn, you could special summon Izuna and make a rank 5 play. With the special summon Izuna, she will now activate to send from the deck to the grave a Lupus. Lupus will be activatable in grave to reborn as long as they activate a monster from the hand or in grave, and then Lupus, whenever you want, you can activate to perform an Exceed summon. So its initial special summon alongside Izuna must be in the main phase, but you could choose to wait until the end phase to now activate its effect. But you gotta be careful, because what if the Exceed you want to summon is also only activatable in the main phase like Nash Knight? So those are things that you do want to consider. Another great thing about Lupus is if you just have Lupus in your hand without the Izuna, you don't have another monster to make a rank 5 Exceeds with, right? Well, unless you have, let's say, a Hollie Sue in the field to make a rank 5 Exceeds with, but otherwise, you could choose to, after the opponent summons twice from the extra deck, you could make a Typhon during their turn. And then the downside of you cannot normal or special summon for the rest of the turn is only applied on the opponent's turn, so that on your turn, you can still special summon. In fact, potentially just go straight to the battle phase, battle with the opponent, and then make a main phase 2 Zeus. And also, what's very important about all of that, whatever you Exceed summon with Lupus will be completely untargetable. Let's now continue to deal with the Marshmallow, activate Lupus to Exceed into the Nash Knight. Nash Knight is a non-target suck up the opponent's monster, just like that. Triple disruption, but we're not done. Let me show you what the Nash Knight further turns into off of this Izuna. We could now have the option of activating Nash Knight to again non-target suck up a monster. Otherwise, we could turn it into something else. We're going to turn it into a Chaos Knight, and then Chaos Knight will further turn into the Umbral Horror. It's very important that we have as an Xyz material the Masquerade to make this play. It will then on summon activate to destroy a back row card, and in addition to that, it's going to have the ability to negate a monster effect on the field, not only negate the activation, but then discard a card from the opponent's hand and then half the opponent's life points. So the Reborn Cupsy, negate with the Umbral Horror. Now it does not destroy the monster unfortunately, but they do lose a card from the hand after the activation negates. Now, before getting into the core combos of the deck, I'm going to showcase to you what a turn 2 could look like for K9 Vanquish Soul. We're going to be completely shutting off their turn with full losses because we are toxic. They are then going to set and pass. Now, how much damage can we do? Well, as you can see on screen, they have 22,000 life points, and we plan on depleting all of it. So with just a case for K9, or you could open up a Nor, or have an Izuna after they activate a hand trap, we're going to be able to normal the Nor, special summon for the deck Jokal. We're going to use the Nor to look at the hand, and after looking at the hand, it doesn't show it here, but a Nibiru was revealed. So we have to play around Nibiru now. Jokal's going to be searching for a Lantern. We're going to Xyz into a Ripper. Ripper's going to activate, searching our deck for a Izuna, and then we're going to Lantern, Reborn from the graveyard, the Jokal. Now they're going to try to Nibiru. We're going to negate. Now, this is just a showcase we counter Nibiru. I'm not going to further cheat by special summoning Izuna, which would be activatable here, and then dumping Lupus to further Reborn. That would give us even more damage on the field. So we're going to keep this nice and normal. Lantern is going to be searching for the Forced Release. We're going to make a Jax, which could on summon destroy a monster on the field, but we're not going to do that because there isn't enough cards on field to destroy to then further show you the ability of Forced Release. Forced Release, instead of just destroying a monster, it could destroy any card on the field, non-targeting. So we have a target monster destroy with Jax, and then non-target destroy with the Forced Release. Now, are you ready for this? Non-target wipe away their Cyber Jar, and let's get to the battle phase. Attack 1, 6,600. Attack 2, 6,600. Attack 3, 6,600. What the heck is going on? Well, if we read the Jax, it says, during any turn in which your opponent has activated a monster effect in the hand or graveyard, any battle damage this card inflicts your opponent is doubled. So we are cheating in that aspect because they activated Nibiru, and the Werewolf has 3 attacks because it says, while this card has a material, it can attack a number of times each battle phase up to the number of materials attached to it. That's why we have triple attack. So even if they didn't activate Nibiru, we would still 3,300 directly 3 times on top of the 2,300. Now that we got turn 0 and turn 2 plays out of the way, this is going to be a core turn 1 combo, which it will be Razen plus any fire plus any level 5. If the fire itself is already a level 5, then you do not need that additional card. Remember the combo basics. You need a fire, a dark, or a level 5, and if the 5 is dark or fire, you get the dual benefit as we see here. Let's start this off with a normal summon Razen, activating to search our deck for a Jiaolong. Why not a Hollie Sue? Well, we have 2 fires, so we want a Jiaolong to make use of the double fire. Let's now activate the effect of Razen to reveal to make it indestructible by card effects, and then trigger the effect of Jiaolong anytime you reveal a card to trigger its effect to special summon onto the field. Now, we need the double fire, so we're going to use the Rock of the Vanquisher to add back the Razen engraved from the field back to our hand. Now with double fire, we have also committed to 3 summons, so our 4th summon must be a level 5 if we want to play around Nibiru. We're going to use Jiaolong to reveal to search directly for the field spell. If you don't have a way to summon Mad Love to search for the field spell, then you're going to want Jiaolong to be the one to search for it. In addition to searching your deck, it also sets a trap during the end phase, and it also gives you destruction protection. If they summon a Murakumo against you, all of your Vanquish Souls will be protected from that effect destruction. Let's play the field spell, which will then target a Vanquish Soul to search our deck for a different attribute. Hollie Sue is going to reveal any Vanquish Soul from the hand to special summon itself onto the field. And now our 5th summon has to be the Ripper to play around a Nibiru. With that Ripper, we're now going to search our deck for a Jokal. Why are we searching for Jokal here? Why even make Ripper? Not only countering Nibiru, but because we have a level 5, the Jokal is now an extending combo play. Let's activate Jokal to special summon the Jiaolong and itself. We're going to activate the Jokal, searching for a Lantern. They're going to try to Nibiru, where if you did any other combo, they would blow you out. We have Ripper to negate. Not today, mate. And now, with the Jokal after searching for Lantern, we're going to further Xyz into a Nash Knight. Nash Knight is going to detach 2 bodies to ensure that we have a K9 in the graveyard to then Reborn with the Lantern. Reborn back the Jokal, and make sure with the Nash Knight you are equipping a Masquerade as an Xyz material. Now with the Lantern reborning, Lantern on field is going to be searching for a case for K9. And then, with the case for Canine, we could search for another Jokel. Why not search for an Izuna? Well, Izuna is an Earth monster, and if you remember at the start of this video, as I'm going to continually emphasize, the main combo pieces are a Fire, a Dark, and a level 5. So Jokel being Dark will ensure that we could later make use of Hollie Sue. If we already have a Dark in the hand, then you do not need to search for Jokel, you could search for an Izuna instead. We have now overlaid the Chaos Knight over our Nash Knight. We are now activating its effect, detaching the Nash Knight and not the Masquerade to summon from the extra deck into an Umbral Horror, which will on-summon destroy a backward card in the field. This is optional, but we do want to destroy our case for Canine. You either want to destroy this with the Caesar or your Umbral Horror, because when destroyed, it will activate Engrave to set from the deck or graveyard a forced release. We're not done. We're going to turn the Lantern and the Jokel into a Valen. The Valen instead could be a Masquerina or a Little Knight, whatever you are running in your extra deck. Now, let's see what the opponent can do as I showcase the disruptions. They're going to start off by summoning a Marshmallow. I'm going to use Rock of the Vanquisher to add from Engrave back to our hand the Hollie Sue. Now, I'm going to use the Valen to flip their monster face down. They're going to normal summon Cupsy. We're going to use the Umbral Horror to negate the activation of the Cupsy, and also discard a card from their hand, randomly say goodbye to their Mitsurugi they held on to. Minus 4,000 life points. So the Umbral Horror is also going to be creating extra pressure for them to ensure that a random card does not get discarded. Thus, they're going to be possibly playing suboptimally when forcing out other plays. Now, we're going to special summon the Hollie Sue, revealing any Vanquish Soul. We're going to reveal a Dark Fire to summon a Razen into the same column as an opposing monster. So if you're playing correctly against Vanquish Soul, you do not want to be summoning your monsters into open monster zones where the Razen could be summoned into, because now we gain an additional disruption. We're going to on-summon, search for a Caesar, and then we're going to non-target destroy the column, including our own monster, unfortunately, but we get rid of the Cupsy. After revealing a Dark Fire, we're now going to Caesar Valius, return back to their hand, not a Razen because we need the Earth. We're going to return back the Hollie Sue, ensuring that we still have a Fire, Dark, and Earth in hand. Now, we could use the Caesar Valius to non-target destroy any card on the field whenever we want. It could be during the end phase, and from here, they're going to follow up with the Hornet Drones. We're not done. We're going to use the Forced Release. Forced Release is going to use the Ripper, turning it into a Werewolf. This will non-target destroy any card in the field. This is the effect through the spell. Goodbye to the token, and then they're going to activate a card, which the Werewolf says if the opponent activates anything and it's their turn, we get to look at their hand and then choose what we want to banish until the end phase. If it's our own turn, we could instead non-target banish one card from their field and graveyard. Absolutely nuts. And then we're going to use the effect. Look at the hand. They only have one card to banish, so say goodbye to the Nibiru that we previously negated. And there you go, an example of how to use your disruptions. This combo is Razen plus any Fire. If you want to see what happens when you have an additional level 5 or the Fire itself is level 5, make sure you watch the previous combo. Let's start this off with a Razen normal summon, not searching for a Hollie Sue because we don't have a Dark. We're going to be searching for Jiaolong to make use of the double Fire. Link off the Razen after using Razen to reveal to trigger Jiaolong to special summon, making a Rock of the Vanquisher to add back the Razen engraved to our hand. With double Fire, let's reveal searching for the field spell. We're going to make sure that our fourth summon is going to be a level 5 to play around Nibiru. Reveal the Vanquish Soul to summon Hollie Sue after searching for it and then end our turn. What the heck is that? You do have the option to make a Ripper, or we can instead make use of the field spell, and I'm going to showcase to you how that works. Only if we have 2 Vanquish Souls in the field during the end phase does this activate to set from the deck a Snow Devil, which will give us the ability to non-target destroy all monsters on the field except our Vanquish Souls, but our Link monster will get destroyed. So let's further see what happens. We're going to use Jiaolong to search our deck for a Dark, ensuring that our Hollie Sue will now be activatable. They're going to normal summon Impachi. We're going to use the Rock of the Vanquisher to summon Razen into the same column. Since we already have a Fire in hand, it's okay to summon the Fire from our hand. Thus, we now use Razen to search our deck for a Caesar. We're going to use the Hollie Sue Disruption instead of the Razen. You do have the option of using the Razen to destroy the column, but because I want to show you how much more disruptions we had the Hollie Sue, instead of summoning a Razen from the deck, being able to make use of its steal effect. So you would use the Razen here, and then on their second body, that's what you would take control of with the Hollie Sue. And we're not done. We're going to use the Caesar Valius to return back the Hollie Sue, ensuring we still have an Earth in our hand. We're going to reveal all 3 attributes to non-target destroy any other card on the field. We're going to use Snow Devil to non-target destroy the entire field with the option to special summon any Vanquish Soul from the hand. wipe away it all if they had any other monsters. And then, if you want to, you could use the Borger to return back if you have a Dark to then draw an additional card. Now let's showcase what you do with a Razen plus a Dark monster, meaning you do not have an additional Fire nor a level 5, which are the 3 main combo pieces, a Dark, Fire, or level 5. We're going to normal summon the Razen Activate to search our deck for Hollie Sue. Why not a Jiao Long? Well, it makes no sense. We need 2 fires to make use of the Jiao Long, and Hollie Sue will make use of a Fire and a Dark. Now we're going to make Rock of the Vanquisher. What is the core goal of Rock of the Vanquisher? To add back a Fire, a Dark, and Grave to our hand. So we're going to add back the Razen. Now the Hollie Sue could reveal the Vanquish Soul to special summon, revealing a Fire and Dark to summon for the deck a Mad Love. Now what we accomplished here is 4 summons, meaning we cannot summon again without getting blown out by Nibiru. We're going to use the Mad Love to be searching for the Vanquish Soul field spell. Vanquish Soul field spell is going to be further searching for a Borger. So I know this is painful. You want to summon the Borger, returning back the Mad Love to then draw a card, but then they have Nibiru and they completely wipe you out. You will still be able to use Borger to draw during their turn, depending on what happens. But if you want to play the safe, you have to simply end your turn. Right after this replay, I'm going to showcase what it looks like if the Hollie Sue summons a level 5 from the deck, being the Jiao Longs, then go into a Ripper for our 5 summon play to counter Nibiru. So to play it safe, we just end our turn. We pass up on a draw to play safely around Nibiru. We now have a Snow Devil. Now during the opponent's turn, they're going to normal summon a Shine Ball. We're going to use Rock of the Vanquisher to special summon a Razen, searching our deck for a Caesar. Right now we don't have a Fire and Dark to destroy the column. And by the way, if they summon a monster in the same column as one of your monsters, you could use a card like the Caesar or the Borger to return the monster back to your hand and then summon Razen within that column, which we could still do within this play. So Razen is going to activate to search. We're going to return back the Razen. Let's say they used an Impermanence, a Veiler, a Ghost Mourner, whatever they possibly have. We're dodging a disruption here, returning back for the Borger. And now we're going to use the Hollie Sue to reveal a Dark and Fire, summoning the Razen into the same column as their opposing monster, as we could still use the ability to non-target destroy that column. We're also using Borger to draw a card. We can then use the Caesar to special summon onto the field. Caesar's going to have the ability to non-target destroy any card on the field. So let's randomly draw, destroy the column, destroy a card in the field. We'll take out the field spell since they have nothing to destroy. And then we have the Mad Love. We're going to use the Mad Love to reveal a Darkened Earth to non-target return 1 monster on the field with the lowest defense. Ideally, it will be an opposing monster because they will be smaller than 1500 defense. Now, because it's our own monster, it's the only monster, we're going to use the Snow Devil to non-target destroy the entire field. Another way for Snow Devil to summon the Razen out into a column, but we're already destroying all monsters here anyway. We do lose out on our Link monster when destroying their opposing monsters, but all Vanquish Soul monsters will be protected from destruction. We could even summon Hollie Sue if we want to, and there you go. Your eyes do not deceive you. This is not the same replay as earlier. We're going to make a different combo play where we go into Ripper instead. This is a highly complex deck with multiple different options. In case this option becomes more popular among tournament-topping players, you will then know how to make this play too. We're going to normal summon the Razen, same thing as before, search for the Hollie Sue. We'll talk about when it changes up here. We're going to Rock the Vanquisher to add back the Fire to combo up with the Hollie Sue. Hollie Sue is going to be revealing a Vanquish Soul, and instead of summoning Mad Love, we're going to go into a Jiao Long. This is our 4 summons here. With our 4 summons, we're going to go into our 5th summon, Ripper. Just like that, we can now counter Nibiru. We're going to use Ripper to detach, search our deck for a forced release, then pass. Now, this seems quite bad, right? Well, this is just an additional option. Let's see exactly what we could do during the opponent's turn. We have the ability to use the effect of Ripper to negate a hand trap or a card that activates in grave. Sometimes it's not just a hand trap. It could be a combo piece like the Mirror Match if they activate anything in the hand, or it could be, let's say, a Marshmallow or a Mitsurugi Habakiri that wants to summon from the deck. So let's see what happens here. They're going to summon their monster. We're going to use the Rock of the Vanquisher to add from the engrave our Hollie Sue. Hollie Sue is going to reveal a Dark and Fire to summon itself out. We're going to use the Hollie Sue to then summon for the deck the Razen into the same column as their monster. Now, it's worth noting that if they summon their monster in the same column as the Ripper, they think they're safe, right? Because we know Vanquish Soul monsters can move if you return them back to the hand, but with the power of the Force Release, you could also move your Ripper into another monster zone. Thus, the Razen will be able to non-target destroy the same column. We're going to use the Caesar Valius to return back to Hollie Sue. And then we're going to be using the Razen to destroy the same column. Now, because there's not enough cards to destroy in the field, I'm going to use the Force Release in response to the Razen destroying the column to also destroy their monster. We're going to be using our Ripper going into a Werewolf. Werewolf is going to non-target destroy any card in the field, and it's not the Werewolf itself, it's the Force Release. And then, if they activate any card effect whatsoever, we're going to chain to it by looking at their hand and banishing any card we want from it until the end phase. Now let's see what else we have. We also have the Caesar being able to non-target destroy any other card on the field. So you had the two options here, the Canine play and the non-Canine play for Razen plus a Dark monster. And very important that both of them play around Nibiru. Now we have Mad Love plus a Fire monster. Thus we already have the Fire and Dark play. You know where we're going to go from here. We're going to go for Jialong, right? No, we're going to go for Hollie Sue because Jialong would not work here. Mad Love will be searching for the field spell. Field spell is going to use the Mad Love to search for a non-dark, which would be the Hollie Sue. Now we need to add the dark from the field, getting in the graveyard, adding back to the hand with the Rock of the Vanquisher, reveal the Vanquish Soul, summon the Hollie Sue, reveal a Fire and Dark, summon a Razen from the deck as we now add the Caesar Valius. We're ending right now because this is our 4 summons. A 5th summon would put us into the Nibiru zone. So we're going to be setting from the deck our Snow Devil. And then let's see what we could do during the opponent's turn. They summon their monster, we reveal. We also use the Rock of the Vanquisher to summon from the hand. We're going to special summon a Mad Love, summon from the deck a Razen. Razen's going to search our deck for a Borger. Now with the Razen, we're going to destroy the column. We're going to use Mad Love to non-target return a monster on the field back to the hand. And we're going to use the Caesar to return back to Hollie Sue, ensuring we still have an Earth in hand to non-target destroy a card on the field. So we either return them back or destroy the column. So this showcases that these 2 monsters will deal with both of their monsters if they have 2 on the field. Return back, then destroy the column. Now, just so you don't get confused, you would use them separately, not in the same chain here. We just have limited plays against the computer. Caesar Valius, non-target destroying a card in the field, and then Snow Devil, of course, revealing 3 to then non-target destroy the entire field, and don't forget, use the Borger to draw a card. So burn for a bunch of damage, non-target destroy all monsters, Borger get drawn, and just like that, let's go. Now, what do we do if we have no Vanquish Soul cards whatsoever, but we are able to make a Ripper, which is 2 level 5 monsters? Well, this is an example of a 1-card combo play with the Noroi, I should be saying. As we special summon a Jokul from the deck, Jokul will search our deck for a Lantern to reborn a monster from the grave. So very important, we get a monster in the grave, we make the Ripper. We're going to detach the Noroi to then search our deck for another Jokul. Lantern's going to reborn the Noroi, and then we're going to use the Lantern to search our deck for a Case for Canine. Activate Case for Canine. On activation, search our deck for an Izuna. We're going to use the Noroi to send the Case for Canine to look at the opponent's hand so that we can further evaluate what our best play would be here. Because we're going to have 2 different options. We're going to go for option A after looking at their hand to see that they're not holding on to an impermanence. Let's now special summon the Jokul and the Izuna. And now we're going to use the Izuna to send from the deck the Lupus. We're going to turn all 4 bodies on the field while keeping Ripper to go into a Saryuja. This is a draw 4 play. There are so many different combinations of cards we could draw into to ensure that we have a Vanquish Soul play. What's very important is we cannot normal summon. Is that an issue? No, it's not, because the Saryuja has the ability to special summon any monster from the hand. And what's important to note about this is it could special summon a Jialong, a Hollie Sue. They don't have to summon through their own effect. It could summon a Mad Love. It could summon a Razen. So let's see what we randomly draw into. Draw 4. Oh, look at that. We randomly have a Mad Love and a Fire. We're going to use the Saryuja to special summon the Mad Love. Mad Love will be then searching for the field spell. And we know where to go from here, right? Fire and Dark means we go for a Hollie Sue. Hollie Sue needs a monster to reveal and a Dark in hand, so we make the Rock of the Vanquisher to add back the Dark. Come back to me, Mad Love, as Saryuja is annoyingly boosting up her monsters every time we summon. Hollie Sue, reveal Vanquish Soul, special, reveal a Fire and Dark, some for the deck. We have the Razen. Razen will then be searching our deck for anything we want. That's going to be a Caesar Valius here, and because we want to make use of the field spell, we're going to keep 2 of our Vanquish Souls since the Rock of the Vanquisher does not count. Set a trap, and just like that, we have a great play, which was first initially a Noroi. This was just Canine, as we then made the Saryuja to do all this. And then all the normal plays, we have Hollie Sue, special Razen, search our deck, we got Borger, non-target destroy the column, non-target destroy the field with the Snow Devil. You can try to take control of the monster with Hollie Sue. If you can, try to return back a monster with the Mad Love. As we randomly draw another card with the Heavy Borger, return back, Caesar Valius, non-target destroy a monster on the field. And the Ripper is further able to negate anything that would activate in the hand or in the graveyard, just like that. Now, I hear you. You are feeling uncomfortable about the Saryuja. You're even questioning my sanity. Is this something that the TCG and OCG are actually summoning? Well, I could showcase to you that TCG players are playing Saryuja at 98%. And then if we look at the OCG, they are playing Saryuja at 94%. So if for some reason after looking at their hand, or you just don't want to make Saryuja, even though the math is on your side that more likely than not you should be drawing into a K9 play, let's showcase to you the other way. No Saryuja play as Noroi summons Jokul. Jokul searching our deck for the Lantern. Let's further go into a Ripper, which will be searching our deck for another body to use. We have Jokul and Lantern. Lantern's going to reborn the Noroi. Lantern is going to play the Case for K9 after we add it to the hand, and then we're going to search our deck to be summoning with the Jokul. Special summon onto the field. Now let's use the Izuna to send the Ripper, and then we're going to further go into a Nash Knight. Now in this play, to have a better combo, I am not sending the Case for K9 to look at their hand. You can, if you want. If you're planning on Saryuja, look at their hand. But otherwise, I instead want to have an additional disruption. We're going to use the Nash Knight to detach. We're going to equip from the extra deck the Masquerade, go into the Chaos Knight. We're going to detach, use its effect to go into the Umbral Horror, which will destroy the Case for K9 to gain that additional disruption. Now we have a Force Release instead of looking at their hand, as we then go into a Little Knight, or you can go into a Valen. Valen will have the ability to flip a monster on the field face down. It's up to you what you want to do. We can negate from the hand or engrave. We can non-target destroy a card in the field. We could use the Werewolf to banish a card from the hand. We could negate a monster, then discard a card from the hand. Then we could Little Knight, banish an opposing monster, or we could Valen flip a monster face down. And this was your additional option instead of going into a Saryuja, hopefully drawing into a Vanquish Soul play. Now, what happens if they hand trap your Razen? If you have a Borger or Caesar and they are using an Imperm or Veiler, you could chain the effect to return the Razen back to the hand. But what if they have something like an Ash Blossom? We normal the Razen, they activate Ash Blossom, which we can't dodge, but now the Izuna is activatable. It does not have to be in the same chain. It could be afterward, anytime we want within the main phase after they have activated something from the hand or engraved that as a monster. Come forth, Izuna. Izuna will then trigger on field to send from the deck a Lupus. Lupus, while in the hand or engraved, can activate the special summon itself onto the field during either player's turn within the main phase, and then we're going to Xyz a Ripper. It's important to note that the Lupus is making the Xyz monster completely untargetable. If they have an Imperm or a Veiler here, it cannot be used on the Ripper. Even though the Ripper can negate a Veiler, we do not want to use our negate on that. We're going to be detaching the Izuna, keeping the Lupus to make it untargetable as we grab a Lantern, and we get to additionally set the Force Release non-target pop because they activated a hand trap, thus we gain that additional benefit. We're going to use Lantern to reborn the Izuna, and then they're going to activate Nibiru, which the Ripper will negate. And now we have the Lantern effect to search our deck for Case for K9, which we do not need to destroy this turn since we already have the Force Release. We're going to Xyz into a Nash Knight. You have two options here. Simply end on Nash Knight and you have a non-target monster suck, or if you prefer to go into the Umbral Horror, you could do so. Now, in the other plays, it's going to objectively be better to go into the Umbral Horror if you are popping your own Case for K9, but we don't have to do that, so it's completely optional. You want an on-field monster negate, which does not get rid of the monster but discards a card, or get rid of their monster on field but does not negate. So for this example, I'm just showcasing you could do both. We're going to go into the Chaos Knight. Chaos Knight further going into the Umbral Horror, not destroying our own cards since we don't need to. And then we make the Rock of the Vanquisher. Rock of the Vanquisher is going to add back the Razen from Engrave. And now, during their turn, we have the normal plays. They summon their monster. We're going to use the Umbral Horror to negate the activation, does not get rid of it. We're going to use the Razen with the effect of the Rock to summon into the same column to non-target destroy it. Now, of course, they should play smarter and not summon into an open column. We're going to search for Jiao Long, so we have the ability to do so. We're going to special summon a Jiao Long onto the field here because it's the last moment to do so, and we're going to actually use it as a combo piece. How so? Well, you'll see. We're going to use the Force Release to non-target destroy a card in the field with the Werewolf Summon. And then they're going to activate the Marshmallow. We're going to use the Werewolf to look at their hand and banish. And now the Lupus is activatable since they activated something from the hand or engrave. Now, it's important to note here, we could use the Werewolf to banish the Marshmallow, then it does not get to summon. But I already have an out to the Marshmallow being summoned onto the field, thus I'm going to banish the other card because it happens to be a Mitsurugi. With the Marshmallow, I can now activate the Lupus to go into a Jax, or you could go into a Valen. This will target destroy a monster on the field, or we could, with the Valen, flip a monster on the field face down. Those are your two options here. Let's pop it on summon, just like that. We have Razen plus a Hollie Sue. So we want to focus on enabling the Hollie Sue. What do we search for? A fire, right? No, we search for a dark. We're going to search for a Borger here as we link off the Razen into a Rock of the Vanquisher. Rock of the Vanquisher is going to be adding back the Razen as we special summon the Hollie Sue, revealing the Borger. Now we have a Fire and Dark. We're going to activate to summon for the deck into a Mad Love. This is our fourth summon. So we want to end here after playing the field spell, and it's very similar to all of our other plays where we properly play around Nibiru. It is your option if you want to play instant Nibiru by summoning Borger to then get an additional draw, but then your entire field gets wiped out and you possibly lose the duel. Remember, we're only able to set this trap because we have 2 Vanquish Souls. A Nibiru token will turn off our trap from even being set. And just like that, it's going to be our normal plays. We want to use the Rock to summon the Razen, search for a Fire, destroy the column. We could use the Mad Love to non-target, return a monster on the field back to the hand with the lowest defense. We're going to use the Hollie Sue to take control. So we got the benefit of Razen column destroy, Hollie Sue take control, and the Mad Love return back. This would deal with 3 separate monsters. Return, and then we have Caesar to non-target destroy any card on the field. And then we also have the Snow Devil. We have Borger draw a card, possibly draw into a hand trap or draw into an Izuna after they activate something from the hand and grave. And Snow Devil non-target destroy all monsters on the field, including our own that are not Vanquish Soul. Jiao Long trigger, special summon Hollie Sue if you want to. And let's freaking go. You could also Jiao Long change a battle position. If there's an opposing Valen to flip your monster face down, you could use the Jiao Long to flip it back up. Stake your soul plus any fire. Normally this other fire will probably be an Ash Blossom in your hand, which also means if they activate a Max C, a Fua Loss in your draw phase, you do have to strongly consider if you want to use your Ash Blossom early, which would then possibly completely turn off your Stake Your Soul. So do keep that into consideration that you now have to use Ash Blossom as a combo piece and not just willy-nilly toss it into the grave. Stake Your Soul, reveal, summon our Razen. We now have double fire, so of course we want to be searching for a Jiao Long. Jiao Long is going to be triggered by revealing a fire with the Razen to then summon, as we now rock the Vanquisher to add the fire from engraved to now use the Jiao Long to search our deck. Now it's important to note we have not used our normal summon yet. We now have Vanquish Soul start to search our deck for Hollie Sue. And what do we have here are 4 summons. With 4 summons, we have to now make a Ripper if we want to continue. That's exactly what we're doing. Ripper is here, anti-Nibiru, search our deck for a Noroi. Why are we searching for Noroi? Because we have not committed to a normal summon yet. And just like that, Noroi on summon is going to summon a Jokel. Jokel's going to search our deck. Now, we have an issue here. The Noroi states that what we summon from the deck while it's face up on the field, we're locked into K9 monsters only from the extra deck. So we could use the Noroi to send the Jokel, or we could exceed them into another Ripper, which is not beneficial, or we could turn it into a Jax. But the main issue is we need Lantern to reborn a K9 from the grave. We have no K9 in grave, so we can't go into Nash Knight. The Jax or the Ripper will not get a K9 into the graveyard, so instead, we're just going to use Noroi to look at their hand. Look at their hand, get a monster in grave, summon the Lantern, reborn onto the field, and then we're going to use the Lantern to search our deck for the Case for K9. Case for K9 is going to further search, and then we're going to link these 2 off, I should say Xyz into a Nash Knight. Now I'm going to pause right here for something very important. You have the option to play this card. Most people do not play this in Vanquish Soul. It has the ability with 2 level 5s to reborn a monster from engrave, which would be our Hollie Sue, and then we could turn this rank 5 into a Little Knight to further have a better turn 1 play. What's the downside? Well, you don't have a lot of room in your extra deck, and that is that. So you choose if you want to play this to have a better turn 1 play with Stake Your Soul plus a fire monster. Otherwise, you're mostly never going to be summoning her in other circumstances. We have the Nash Knight to equip from the extra deck, the Masquerade, which is very important. And then we're going to go into the Chaos Knight, which will further make the Umbral Horror, which will destroy the Case for K9 to set from the deck the Force Release. Force Release is here, and then we end our turn. I know this Jokel is quite awkward in the field, but it actually is beneficial because if we have any way whatsoever to access Lupus through the Izuna, then the Lupus could special summon during their turn without Izuna, and then we could use the Lupus and the Jokel to go into our rank 5 play, which would be the Valen, or it could be the Jax. They normal summon the Apache, we have all the normal plays, add back the Hollie Sue, summon Hollie Sue, get ready to summon a Razen in the column if they summon a monster into an open column, which of course they should not be doing, but we have so much additional disruption on top of this. Return back the Hollie Sue. Caesar is going to non-target pop. We have non-target pop with the Force Release, all that nonsense, lots of wham bam. Thank you, ma'am. You've seen it a million times by now. But just in case you're skipping to this combo, you will be further seeing pretty much what you do with these plays. Now, what do you do with Jokel and Stake Your Soul? There are some people showcasing a combo that's a little bit better than mine, but they play instant Nibiru. They get completely blown out. and they're gaining just one additional disruption. They're going to be able to have the Vanquish Soul trap alongside the Force Release, but to properly play around Nibiru, we're just going to have the Force Release and still an incredible field. So I would say the trap is win more and then you lose to a Nibiru. Completely up to you on what you want to do. So let's showcase to you the proper play around Nibiru. Stake your soul, reveal, summon a Mad Love. Mad Love is going to activate to search our deck for the Vanquish Soul start. Start is going to be using the Mad Love to search for a Razen. Razen on summon's going to search our deck for a Hollie Sue. And I feel like a lot of people by accident are playing into Nibiru because they don't understand the combo of using Mad Love to return back the Razen. If you paid attention at the start of my video, I talked about if you summon a Razen and a Mad Love, you now cannot summon Rock without playing into a Nibiru, because then your 4th and 5th summon will be level 5s and then they Nibiru your field. So instead of going into Rock here to properly play around Nibiru, let's use the Mad Love, revealing a Darkened Earth to return the Razen back. So we accomplished the main goal of the Rock, which is getting a Fire or Dark in hand without committing to that summon. Thus, we're only on 2 summons. We're going to use the Hollie Sue to summon itself onto the field. So other players, they are instead using Jokul to summon the Hollie Sue onto the field as their 4th and 5th summon, and then they could get Nibiru'd. But instead, we're playing around it properly, just like that. This is only 4 summons, unlike the other plays you're seeing online. I'm not saying their plays are bad, it's just that they play into Nibiru, so it's your option if you want to play around it or play into it. Now, we have Ripper, which is going to be searching our deck for the Izuna, special summon the Izuna and the Jokul. Izuna is going to dump from the deck the Lupus. They're going to Nibiru. Because we played around it properly, we could stop it. And I'm not going to be cheating with the Lupus summoning or cheating with an Izuna self-summoning. We're going to be pretending like they didn't activate anything because they just wouldn't activate Nibiru, right? Nash Knight, we're going to then equip from the extra deck. And I do want to know how exactly you would have the better play here if you played into a Nibiru. So we're going to summon the Lantern plus the Lupus, search for the case for Canine, make sure you destroy it to get the Force Release. And with that, we're going to be going into the Umbral Horror, pop the case, set the Unleashed. And we're not done, we still have more. We're going to be linking this off into a Rock of the Vanquisher, which will add from Engrave the Hollie Sue. And then we're going to further go into a Valen. So the different play that plays into Nibiru would be able to, because we use Jokul to summon Hollie Sue, we would use the Hollie Sue to summon herself back onto the field. And then Hollie Sue would reveal a Fire and Dark to then summon from the deck, let's say a Caesar, and then you would be able to, with your field spell, set the trap. But that play does play into a Nibiru. So if you want to be safer and you don't have the trap, and oh no, we only have Flip Face Down, Column Destroy, Caesar non-target pop of the Force Release, Ripper, negate a hand trap or Engrave if we didn't negate the Nibiru, negate a monster on the field, Destruction Protection with a field spell. So we still have a lot of protection through this play. To showcase some of that, let's activate the Hollie Sue, go forth and summon, search in his deck. We chose to not negate with the Umbral Horror because we just want to showcase a bunch of disruptions here. Raze and destroy the column after we search for the Caesar. They special summon the Marshmallow, we Force Release, non-target pop it. Now if they activate something, the Werewolf will look at their hand and banish. That's another disruption I didn't even know earlier. They activate. We chose to not randomly banish in the hand or look at their hand and banish. We're now going to summon a Caesar. Caesar's going to non-target, pop a card on the field. They activate. Now I'm going to look at their hand and banish, which we could have done on the drones. Goodbye, look to their hand, get rid of the Mitsurugi, summon the Cupsy. Cupsy does not activate, already did this turn. We're going to flip it face down. We could then use the Rock to return from Engrave. Lots of different plays. We didn't even use the Umbral Horror Monster Negate. Now, the absolute best way to play Vanquish Soul will be on Master of Meta, either through the top decks page or the tier list. It will soon be on the tier list where you could check out how to play it, but first we could check out YugiOhMeta.com, where you could see Draco Tail, Yummy, and Vanquish Soul were the top 3 decks. Vanquish Soul will either be the best deck, the second best deck, or the third best deck. I think at worst, a top 3 deck. It's a big one. So if we look at Vanquish Soul here, we're going to get a good overview on how it's played in the TCG and the OCG, and I'm going to put it all together for you. Before I show you some decklist examples, you could scroll down on the deck breakdown to then use the best decks filter, where you could filter by any amount of cards or lack of cards and or not, and then go page by page, check them out how you want. What I picked out from here is a first place YCS 2400 player event from the TCG, looking just like this. And then here is an OCG deck list getting second place of a 673 player event. And now let's go into the Master Duel deck list. And there you have it, a Vanquish Soul K9 deck ready for day one, including the side deck options for additional text. So I'm going to showcase to you how to one button import it in game. Now on Master Duel, you'll see this button here, copy from link deck list, and you'll be able to see that I have 439 decks, and the latest deck I copied was a Yummy deck. So let's back out. And let's go on over to the website here. We're going to click on the share button, click share to Master Duel, and with one button, it's going to be submitting the deck list to the official Konami website, importing the deck, please wait. And then as this is done, you're going to be able to go in game just like that. Let's click in game. Let's click again the plus button, copy from link deck list, and now our deck is there waiting. This is our deck, but unfortunately, Vanquish Soul K9 is not out yet. So once the cards officially come out in game, I could copy this on over, and it's going to officially have every single card from the deck on the site in game with just one button importing. Now for the main deck, you could choose to play up to 3 Noroi. I am playing Nibiru in here, plus a cross-out designate in case you want to make a riskier play where you don't rush into a Ripper or end your turn early. Then with the cross-out, you can negate a Nibiru instead of relying on just the Ripper. The extra deck is pretty standard here. And if you look at the side deck here for additional tech options, we have DD Crow, which is a dark attribute in addition to being able to banish from the opponent's graveyard. If you're playing against, let's say, Mitsurugi, they tribute a card by cost. You could chain DD Crow to banish that card, and then their card will not even trigger. That doesn't work against the Mitsurugi Ritual, but it works against the Prayers. You have Drone Lockbird, which is also very good. You have Ogre, which could be very good in the mirror match, even though it's not a fire or dark attribute. This could be used against the field spell. This could be used against a Lupus trying to perform an Xyz summon. It gets popped and does not go back to the grave, it gets banished instead. And then you have Ghost Spell, which is very good to stop something like reborning a Lupus. You could even use this against decks like Mitsurugi and Draco Tail. They activate a Draco Tail trap. You could just use Bell to stop it. It also is the Earth attribute. And then you have a card like Impulse, which in response to the opponent activating a card effect in the field that's a monster, let's say they normal summon a Razen, you'll chain the effect of Impulse to summon a Fire Attacker. Fire Attacker will then trigger after they search with a Razen to draw 2, then discard a card, further helping you more consistently draw into the Hollie Sue or Izuna play. And as I said, you could play additional Norois. You could also add a Druid Swarm to the main deck, as we're playing Magnum Hut without Druid Swarm as an option, as the Magnum Hut could search for a Caesar during the opponent's end phase. But most importantly, again, stay tuned for the tier list updating and the top decks page updating for the new Vanquish Soul K9 decks as soon as they come out. If you enjoyed this video and you want to immensely support me, make sure you show up to my twitch.tv/DK stream on Thursday, the day of the new pack anniversary day, for a $1,000 tournament qualifier. And then Saturday, the day before the big Super Bowl, we have the $1,000 tournament itself, the best of the best. Let's freaking go. I'll see you there.